Hi, this is Chilton Webb, and today's video is actually a question for some of the Conjure users out there who have been using clusters and had some different opinions on how they should work or might work better. This is an exploratory video more than anything else, showing a possible future feature or a behavior in a future feature that will not absolutely make it into the product. So if you're watching this video and you're wondering why doesn't the product actually do this, it's because probably the idea got shot down in the forums. So I'd like everyone's opinion on this. If you get a few minutes, just drop by the forum and let me know what you think. And this has to do with a concept in Conjure called clusters. Clusters in Conjure behave a lot like stacks in Leopard, in that you can pop them open and see what's inside them like that. The same way here. You can add anything you want to a cluster, and it will basically suck into it when it's added to it, and then you can pop it back out later. Okay. And that was the original goal behind clusters, and obviously that is implemented. If you command double click on something, it will put it back, actually put it in the center of the screen so you can take a look at it. And clusters also attempt to figure out where on the screen to display things so that basically so that as many of the objects can be displayed on the screen at the same time as possible. When you delete a cluster, everything goes back to where it was before it was added to the cluster. Actually, it's added at the last location that it was edited or manipulated is where it goes back to. And that's what I want to know about. Some people have said that when they first started using Conjure, they expected clusters to behave a little differently. And now that I've read over their thoughts and read a few suggestions from people, I think I have an idea for what some people would like. And it's a really good idea. So I'd like your feedback on this. I'd like to know if you think this is actually a direction I should take clusters or not. So currently, if you have a bunch of stuff on the screen and you have it clustered, when you click on that cluster, it sucks it into it. And then when you delete the cluster, it throws it back on the screen. Some people have asked basically if clusters could do that same thing only without having to delete the cluster. In other words, you click it once, everything gets sucked in, and imagine that I'm not deleting it here while I am. You click it a second time and things go back the way they were before the cluster was deleted. This would allow you to use clusters to organize things in different ways. For example, let's say that I was laying out this web page. Obviously this is parts of the Conjure Bunny website. And I'm trying to decide between two different looks with same content. Well, I could select all this, create a new cluster, then move things around in that cluster so that the screen now looked like this, and say, okay, well, I kind of like this over here, and so I would then click on this cluster right here to see this mode, or I could click on this one right here to see this mode. Does that make sense? In other words, if I click on this one, all of these things would go in here. And I click it a second time, and then all of those things would go back out, right, to their previous locations. Whereas if I had a different cluster, this one over here, the same content on the page, if I now click that one, all of these things would suck in. And if I click it a second time, all of these things would then go back out to these locations. Does that make sense? I think it's a pretty good idea. I think it's worth exploring, but it's going to require a substantial change to how clusters behave. And so before I actually threw that in there, I wanted to get some feedback and see what you thought. Please let me know. Check out the forums and forums.conjurebunny.com and let me know what you think. Thank you very much.